January 26th of 2020 will be remembered as one of the darkest days in sports after the world learned about the tragic death of Kobe Bryant, who along with his daughter, Gigi, of 13 years old, and seven others, died in a terrible helicopter crash in Calabasas. But our mission today is to remember Kobe's legacy as we celebrate his birthday. We wanted to take the opportunity to talk to one of the many people whose lives crossed paths with one of the greatest to ever play the game while wearing the Lakers jersey throughout his career. With me today is photographer Pablo Aguilar, who had an opportunity to take some really cool pictures in Kobe's early career. And Pablo, pleasure to have you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
So, Pablo, first of all, let's talk a little bit about you before we get into Kobe's conversation. Tell us about the work that you do.
I am a trained photographer, graduated from Art Center College of Design in '96. I started doing portrait photography, the traditional formats, large format. And I am now doing a lot more video, a lot more digital work. So but a lot more digital and modern, video productions.
So you're not only into sports. I mean, you do every type of. So I've seen some of your work online, and I can see that you have some big figures, Keanu Reeves, and within all of them, right?
Yeah, originally I am doing portraiture, fashion. I really didn't shoot a lot of sports figures. Actually, I didn't really know much about Kobe when I was given the assignment. I think it was his second year with the Lakers. He was about 19. And I was shooting a lot of celebrities, a lot of fashion jobs for New York publications. This came across through a former alumni who was a creative director at Adidas. And that's how I got a chance to work with. Actually, should I say a prominent shoe company? Or
no, it's okay. You can go ahead and say it. I mean, Adidas. We know that it was Adidas, and
so
we can see it in some of the pictures.
That was early on, and so I was hired to come on to photograph him for this virtual Kobe CD that they were doing. There was another photographer doing other campaign shots, but I was there to do his portraits, and they really liked how they turned out, and so then I was hired to go on tour for these basketball camps that were going to be in Asia. It was going to be a 2-week tour, so that's how I was assigned for this job.
Awesome. Now, how do you get into photography? How do you get involved into this whole thing?
Wow, that took a while. I was actually in the process of journey of being a civil engineer. I was taking a lot of. I have an AA in drafting and design. It was very technical. It wasn't until I actually started going to different colleges and I started taking photo classes that really piqued my interest. And so I ended up trying to get into film school at USC. And while I was there, I transferred to Art Center and started pursuing photography because I felt that it was not as huge as a production with film and it was a little more intimate. So I became focused on pursuing photography. And in that, it was this, more about photographing people and portraits and using, the format to actually capture that. So I got the, traditional training. I learned how to develop film and print, work with different kinds of chemistry, different kinds of materials. A lot which don't exist anymore, but you can actually see the result by all your Instagram filters and things like that. That all started from actual physical materials and us manipulating and printing things to make it look that way.
Awesome. So like I said before, you had an opportunity to take all these amazing pictures, but when you were told about Kobe Bryant, what do you know about him? I know you mentioned that you didn't know much about him, but what made you decide that, you know what, let me go take a picture of this 20-year-old kid, or 19 at that moment?
Yeah, it was, I know it was the second year with the Lakers. They had just lost the finals, just then won the championship. And little did I knew that, he, from high school, he was playing in the NBA and he was like one of the youngest players. But I'm 8 years older than him, and it's kind of, I show up on set and he's just real charming, real just, like young, like just, I'd never heard things like, referring to the basketball as like throw me the rock, shoot me the pill, things like that, and just really just all over the place. And a real nice guy to work with. I think I don't really have probably any horror stories with celebrities because they generally, they're giving of their time, and he was. I mean, here I am showing up, with this 4x5 camera from like the 1930s to do his portrait, you
Wow.
know. And it's so I'm not a sports photographer. I do portraits, and he was really open and accepting, and I got some really nice shots with him.
Now, what do you remember the most of those sessions? I mean, there has to be some particular moments probably that made you feel that he was something else, or what do
It
you remember the most?
it was I think it was the first initial meeting when we photographed for the project. It was just a day. I didn't really get to spend a whole lot of time, just the time that I did his portrait. I got to see more of him when I was on tour with him for about 2 weeks.
Hmm.
That's where, I started to realize, wow, this kid's got knows 5 languages, and he's really giving, and he's really open to, for being 19, being just that disciplined. He was focused on his training, on his skills, but also available for other people. And on his downtime, when he wasn't doing that and he was alone, he had his headphones on and he was writing rhymes because he was coming out with an album. He did one album, I think, with Tyra Banks. But he just kept going. I think Shaq at the time had done an album or something. So, it was just like on my downtime, I'm still going to be creative and search for new things. So that was interesting.
Back in February 26th, I believe, I think it was 2 days after the memorial, Kobe's memorial. You posted a picture on your Facebook, and you talked about how you took a picture of this portrait in particular, and it was silver black, and it was really, really cool, the things that he was wearing. And you mentioned something about his shoes, unauthorized shoes. What was
Yeah.
it all about? I mean, I'm
So,
pretty sure we're going to mention that. I'm going to try to put that picture as we're talking.
so one of the things traveling, so again, I got assigned to do this project, and the crew had left um, a day prior to me getting assigned on this job. So I landed in Philippines a day after. Um, when we would go to different parts of Asia, I guess the Adidas in those countries would put out their own version of the shoes that weren't really like uh, okayed by Adidas, but they would have all these strange looking, shoes and jerseys that you would never see. And when you go to Philippines, it was like that. When you were in Korea, it was like that. When we went to Tokyo, they just had their versions of it. So it was really interesting to just see that variety of apparel, I think.
What do you remember of? There's also a picture of him cutting a cake, his 20th birthday cake, and this was back in 1998. And
Yeah.
today, but obviously, he would have celebrated his 43rd birthday, if I'm not mistaken. What do you remember about that specific time?
Well, we were traveling on the trip. He was traveling with his cousin, um, his parents, his trainer, the Adidas team, and it wasn't until we were actually in Korea that the team mentioned that it was his birthday and they were going to have a little surprise for him in Korea. And so that's when they brought out this huge cake and they brought these gifts with him. And I think I have a photo of him. They had got this karate gi for him, and they gave him a plaque, and they brought out this great cake for him to cut. And it was kind of special, just to here it is. Where do you celebrate your 20th birthday? And this guy's in Korea for the first time, and celebrating it with complete strangers and having a great time of his life.
So, how was people's reaction? I know he was on his second year, as you mentioned, and how was people's reaction when they saw Kobe? His stock was barely rising. So, how do you feel that people was receptive towards him?
it was a phenomenon. I didn't know basketball was this popular globally, and it wasn't actually what I recently saw the Last Dance and how Jordan had made basketball through the Olympics more
Mm.
global, and so I saw that firsthand going into the Philippines, and I didn't realize it was like they were such huge basketball fanatics. I mean, we had military escorts. There were mobs everywhere, and I just I was just shocked at the
Mm.
amount of people that had come out and that really cared for this athlete and wanted just to be in his presence. It was just another world, really.
How about if you share some of the work? I know we can do some sharing screening, some share screen, and if you would like to showcase some of the stuff that you've done with Kobe in particular, and maybe you can talk to us a little bit about what are we looking at.
Okay.
If you
Yeah.
could go ahead and do that, yes.
Let me share.
Also, tell us as you're talking, tell us which one do you believe was your favorite picture, and
Hold on. How do I go back to this? Hold on. Stop sharing. How do I do this? Share screen, desktop. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'll do this. Okay. So these are the first images.
nice.
Um, this is at Dorsey High School.
And that's actually his actual photograph, autograph.
These are that's his signature that he signed, and then I just put it. I scanned it and I put it
Okay.
on the print.
Okay.
But this was part of the series for Adidas, and they use these for the campaign. This is taken with the 4x5 camera. This is one of the portraits that.
The one that you were referring to, yes.
Yes. So this was the initial meeting. This was part of the whole presentation for Adidas. And so this was done with the 4x5 camera, large camera that I walked around with and just did his portrait. Had him sit for me. And you can see in his eyes a reflection of where we just saw this art is right like.
So it was part of the same session right there.
Yeah,
Yes.
part of the same session.
And so he was taking some shots on the one before, and was that also part of a commercial or something that
they were
on?
Walter Eos was actually, I believe, shooting the campaign, him dunking. They had a big scissor lift. They were shooting down. It was a really great location.
Awesome.
So this is what he was wearing. They couldn't use the Laker actual uniform, so they had some of the colors. And those are the size of the negatives. They're 4" by 5". So this is with the camera. These are some of the outtakes from the ones that I had shown you.
And this is only you shooting? There's nobody else?
Nobody else.
And what kind of conversations do you guys have during these sessions?
I just kind of, he was asking me about the camera. He was just, was just sharing about, what it was that I was doing because it looked, it was still really awkward. It wasn't a 35 millimeter camera like your typical sports camera. So he seemed really intrigued about it. And I had him hold it after, and he was just, looking at it. It was pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
And so these were actual, what you're seeing is the actual print that I had scanned. So I actually printed all these by hand. And this is what they look like.
And these are all taken where? You said?
These are at Dorsey High School here in LA.
Okay. And this is previous to the trip?
Previous to the trip. So this is what got me the trip.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so these images are what got me the trip. So.
Nice. Don't forget to tell us which one was your favorite one as well.
Out of all these, I think between this one, which I've printed a couple of times, and obviously the first one.
He was very it was a lot of expression and everything. How easy or how difficult it was for you to capture that from him?
Focusing the portrait, he knew he was getting photographed. But on the field, as you'll see on tour, I never got another chance of getting photographing him like this.
Mm.
So on tour was a completely different thing that you'll see because, I respected his space. We were traveling, we were working. I would only photograph him, obviously, when we were uh, at the event because it was part of the Adidas basketball camps. What they did was there were 3-on-3s. And so the winner of each 3-on-3, Kobe and his cousin and another player would play on the finals.
Mm.
So it was just part of that production. So let me get to what we're going to. So here we are landing in Philippines.
Some
And
fans, yeah.
and there's already fans everywhere. And this is so let me back up by saying a lot of these from the trip I hadn't scanned or I hadn't revisited since I don't know, since the job probably, since the 90s.
Oh, wow.
So I only had printed up the previous ones from the job that I had showed. I think it was my way of dealing with this passing, to revisit because I wanted to remember him in another way. So I dug out my film and I started scanning and I totally forgot about this image. And this was just a day walking around. I think it was part of this Queen for a Day kind of thing in the Philippines where they brought out somebody that was Kobe's guide for the day. And we walked around in the Philippines and I totally forgot about this shot. And this photograph is the one that's gotten the most hits and most likes on my Instagram. And people want this print because of his connection to the Philippines and to this vehicle, which is iconic for, I think they're jeepneys.
So
So
he was obviously not prepared. You guys were just passing by and probably saw this
yeah,
this
we did a
bus.
couple of shots on it. And so
What
there's
kind of vehicle is this? Is this like a public transportation? Or
yeah,
what exactly was it?
this is what they call jeepneys. They're very for transit, for public transit, and so they decorate a lot of these in the Philippines or in Thailand. They're very similar, but they're very iconic to the Philippines. These vehicles. These are their buses. They're mini buses.
So whose idea was to tell him, "Hey, get in there, and let's
It
do
was
this."
just walking by one. It was just like, hey, Kobe, just get you a photograph with the
Get
jeepney.
on it.
Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, he seemed to have enjoyed that moment. No.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
And this is with his cousin. They were both on tour. His cousin's name was where is it? Hold on, I wrote it down. John Cox.
Okay.
So John Cox went with him, and this is him at one of the arenas in the Philippines, in Manila. This is one of them as well.
And this is part of that game, exactly, right?
Yeah. And then this is he put on a display. This was at one of their largest malls in the Philippines. I just kept looking up and there were just stories of levels and levels and people came out and it was just, you can imagine just coming into this mall and
Oh, nice.
playing in the middle of this mall.
Wow. And you also mentioned something about being on the top of a 50.
That was by the time we
building.
went to Tokyo. Yeah.
That was on Tokyo.
That was in Tokyo.
That was part of the photo shoot that you guys took in that building.
Yes, that was towards the end of the tour.
Okay, cool.
So this right here has a date. It's August 13th to 16th of 1998.
Before his birthday, then.
Yeah, Kobe in Manila. So this was the first stop of the trip. And then I think we landed in South Korea.
Okay.
And here he is celebrating his 20th birthday in South Korea.
Yeah, you can feel definitely the passion that you were describing before about how people received him. I mean, this is only on his second season. He had not really done anything, obviously, but he's shown potential. He's shown that he was meant to be and do great things eventually.
Well,
But
you can
yeah.
also see because he was so young and he was so kind of welcoming
Hmm.
and being on these kind of like, and you'll start seeing some of these photos where I actually photograph him playing against some of these kids that are 13, 14, 15, and he still has that energy. He still has that kid-like and kind of, you'll see him, because this is one of the birthday gifts they gave him, the karate.
So he's wearing that robe right there. Oh,
Yeah,
nice, nice, nice.
there's more gifts that they gave him there. So this is what I mean. This is like, we're outside, we're in Korea. There, he gets to play against, you know, the winners of the 3-on-3.
And I'm pretty sure he didn't let them beat them at all.
No, I
He was
mean,
not nice
he
at all
was,
on the court. I'm pretty sure he did not let them beat them.
here he is signing autographs.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And the thing I look back and just remember about these photographs is nobody's holding a cell phone. Everybody's focused on the moment. If somebody has a camera, it's a camera, you
Yeah.
know. And, people generally like wanted to come out and see him. This is a kid I remember. This is at the military base in South Korea. We went to the military base,
Wow.
and he took some really good photos with this kid.
Well, where can people see this? I mean, where can they go and take a picture, take a look at all these pictures, or are you planning to do anything with
I'm
these
planning.
pictures?
Some of them I've posted up on my Instagram. I do want to be able to post these up. We're reaching out to the Mamba Foundation to see if we can, kind of first reach out to the family and share some of these and just, go from there because I believe Adidas still has the rights to these. I haven't, like I said, I haven't really shown these in,
In so many
ever,
years. Yeah.
ever. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, we really, really thank that you're sharing this with us. How many of these pictures are there?
So these I have 38 scanned, but there's more. So I'm
Okay.
kind of like, Philippines, Korea, Tokyo, and Australia.
These are awesome. These are awesome. Hopefully you can get those out there, and I'm pretty sure people will enjoy this type of memories from Kobe at such an early age.
Yeah.
Again, if you want to remind us the websites that you have,
My
and
my website is pabloaguilar.com. It's PabloAguilar.com.
and obviously they can also look for you on your
Uh,
social media at Pablo Aguilar
yeah,
Photography, right?
it's Pablo Aguilar Studio.
Studio. Okay, perfect, awesome. So, well, I mean, we would love to go all on every single picture here, and let's. These are awesome, man. These are
This is
really,
the
really
one.
great.
This is one of my favorites. You can just see like, I mean, imagine being 16, 17 and Kobe being 19. You're playing against him,
And he has that look. He has that killer look.
Yeah,
It's like,
right.
I don't care who you is. You're 16,
Look
17.
at this
I'm
lady
coming
right here.
after you.
And look at this lady right here.
The one that is smiling, you mean,
Yeah,
right in
yeah.
front of Kobe? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can see the excitement and
Even over there in
wondering.
the corner, the little ones. Yeah, so it was just, and look, there's no barrier. There's no like
Yeah,
everybody like there's people respecting and they're watching. I mean, look at this.
there's
So
just a little line that you can see
yeah,
in
yeah.
between the court, and nobody's trying to get on. That's great.
So I've always enjoyed these because it was just outdoors and
Hmm.
we were able to see all this. This is the
Oh,
shot.
this is the one that I was talking about. Yeah.
This is the one in Tokyo where we just took this elevator ride up and I'm like, where are we? And we were just overlooking the city and he was out here playing and it was out of all the outfits that he wore, this was my favorite one. It was like silver and black and it was just like,
Hmm.
wow, just great.
This is great. Yeah, this is an amazing picture.
this is when we got to Australia. Oh, all the press, he's blowing out of the traditional roar, is having a good time with the press, really. And right in
Oh, yeah.
Sydney,
Okay.
and so it was a little different. Again, these are all my first times to any of these countries. I'd never traveled like this, and still to this day, it's probably my favorite, my most funnest job, uh, touring first class with Kobe Bryant in Asia. And here he is going against one of the kids in Australia.
Nice.
Just this energy.
No, the competitive in Kobe was really, really out of this world. I mean, you could only see it in very special people, like you mentioned before, in the era of Michael Jordan, and you know.
Well, he had that discipline. He had that drive, that passion. You could see at 19, like, the kid he was focused. He just was just
So
focused.
let me ask you, when you heard, if you want to keep flipping over the pictures, um, when you heard about Kobe's accident, how do you react, or do you believe it? Where were you?
I was actually walking into a meeting and my daughter texted me that had happened. And, I was in shock. It was really sad. And then as we found out later on throughout the day, his daughter it just got worse.
Yeah.
Find out his daughter was in the helicopter and more family. It just was, I think we were all in a state of shock. And I think, that's kind of why I went back to revisit, this project, because it was just my way of dealing with it.
And what was the first memory that you had of him? Yeah, when you were able to get out of that shock for a little bit, and what was the first memory that came back to you out of all these trips and all these pictures that we're looking at right now?
The guy just was always, smiling and just in a really positive mood. I mean, I always remember the way he would just call my name, like Pablo. This real animated way of just connecting with people. But then he was also very introverted, and like I said, when he had his downtime and he was still searching for other things. Like I said, he was writing rhymes and told me a little bit about this album that he was working on. And so he always found a way, I feel, to keep searching or improving himself, not just in his game. Like, he had his game down. I know later on he got an Oscar for his writing and for doing the piece. So I think that stemmed from early on, when he was always expressive. He always wanted to connect, not only in his sport, but in just another way of being expressive, and through art, really. So I was really happy for him to be able to, here you have all these championships and you have an Oscar.
Oh yeah.
So
Unheard of.
Yeah.
So let's keep flipping through these pictures. These pictures are amazing, man. I mean,
this was the last one that I have for so far to share. But yeah, this was the one I was
awesome.
gonna end with.
Well, Pablo, I mean, we really want to thank your time, and we wanted to honor Kobe's legacy. We wanted to remember him in this way. I think he transcended. He went over just the basketball court. I think Kobe was like you mentioned, his personality really touched a lot of lives, and I had the opportunity to interview him a few times and share those moments throughout his career. But again, thank you so much, and hopefully people can jump into your social media and just and you to have that opportunity to showcase all these amazing pictures and share some of those memories as we mentioned before. Thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure to have you on. And just don't forget, you can follow me at Jad El Redas. You can see my name on the screen in all my platforms, all my social media. And this was obviously for the LA Times en Español, where you will see a story, and you will see some of these pictures, all some of these amazing pictures that we will share with you in all our social media, like I said before. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.